They were born into the shadow of Britain's greatest wartime leader, children who carried the Churchill name through triumph, scandal, service, and sorrow. One fought beside his father in Parliament and on the battlefield. Another read secret photographs that shaped D-Day. One shone on stage in Hollywood, one volunteered to save others from despair, and one, too young to speak her legacy, left a silence that never left the family home. From London drawing rooms to air raid bunkers, their stories trace a family tested by fame itself. This is what became of Winston Churchill's children. The Churchill children arrived between 1909 and 1922, born into a world of political upheaval and social transformation. Diana emerged first in 1909, followed by Randolph in 1911, Sarah in 1914, Marigold in 1918, and finally Mary in 1922. Their childhood unfolded primarily at Chartwell, the Kent estate Winston Churchill purchased in 1922, where red brick walls enclosed 28 rooms and 80 acres of grounds that would shape their understanding of duty, service, and the weight of public expectation. Chartwell operated as both family sanctuary and political nerve center. The children grew accustomed to breakfast conversations that ranged from constituency matters to military strategy, dinner guests who included cabinet ministers and foreign diplomats, and a father whose attention shifted between manuscript deadlines and parliamentary sessions. Clementine Churchill maintained household order while Winston pursued his various careers, soldier, journalist, politician, and historian, often simultaneously. The estate itself reflected Winston's character, ambitious construction projects, a heated swimming pool, extensive gardens, and a study where he painted watercolors between writing sessions. The children learned early that their home served multiple purposes: private residence, political headquarters, and historical monument in the making. Staff quarters housed secretaries, researchers, and security personnel alongside traditional domestic workers. The Great War defined the early years for Diana, Randolph, and Sarah, while shaping the household atmosphere that would greet Marigold and Mary. Winston served as First Lord of the Admiralty until the Dardanelles disaster forced his resignation in 1915, creating a period of political exile that the family experienced as financial uncertainty and social ostracism. The children witnessed their father's determination to rehabilitate his reputation through military service on the Western Front and gradual political comeback. During these formative years, the Churchill children absorbed lessons about resilience under public scrutiny. They observed their mother's management of household economics during lean periods, their father's methodical approach to rebuilding political capital, and the family's maintenance of social connections despite temporary disgrace. These experiences established patterns of behavior that would characterize their adult responses to personal and professional challenges. The interwar period brought renewed prosperity and political prominence. Winston's return to the Conservative Party and appointment as Chancellor of the Exchequer in 1924 restored the family's social position. The children attended elite schools, traveled extensively, and participated in London society. However, they also inherited their father's tendency toward financial optimism and their mother's anxiety about money, creating tensions that would persist throughout their lives. From earliest childhood, the Churchill children understood that their surname carried obligations. Winston and Clementine emphasized duty to country, service to others, and maintenance of family honor. These principles manifested in different ways for each child: political engagement, military service, artistic contribution, or charitable work. The parents expected their children to pursue meaningful careers rather than merely enjoying inherited privilege. The household culture promoted intellectual curiosity, political awareness, and social responsibility. Conversations at family meals addressed contemporary issues, historical precedents, and moral questions. Winston shared his writing projects with the children, involving them in research and proofreading. Clementine organized charitable activities and expected her daughters to participate in social welfare initiatives. This upbringing produced children who felt compelled to justify their advantages through achievement and service. However, it also created pressure to match their father's extraordinary accomplishments, leading to different forms of rebellion, dedication, and compromise throughout their adult lives. Diana Churchill entered the world on July 11, 1909, as Winston and Clementine's first child. Her birth coincided with her father's early political career as a Liberal MP and his courtship of progressive causes, including labor rights and social reform. Diana's infancy unfolded against the backdrop of constitutional crisis over the House of Lords powers and the growing tension between Britain and Germany that would soon explode into World War. As the eldest child, Diana bore the weight of parental expectations and experimental child-rearing approaches. Winston and Clementine had strong opinions about education, discipline, and character formation, but limited practical experience. Diana became their test case for theories about developing independence, intellectual curiosity, and social responsibility in children of privilege. Her early education combined traditional elements, French lessons, piano instruction, deportment training, with more progressive approaches influenced by contemporary educational reform movements. The family employed a succession of governesses and tutors who emphasized academic achievement alongside social graces. Diana demonstrated aptitude for languages and literature, but struggled with mathematics and sciences. The outbreak of war in 1914 transformed Diana's childhood. Her father's ministerial responsibilities required frequent absences, while her mother managed household disruptions caused by blackouts, rationing, and air raid precautions. Diana learned to associate her father's career with national crisis and family stress, establishing patterns of anxiety that would characterize her adult relationship with public attention. Diana's formal education followed conventional patterns for upper-class girls of her generation. She attended day schools in London while living at home, supplemented by private tutoring in subjects considered appropriate for young ladies of breeding. Her curriculum emphasized literature, history, modern languages, art appreciation, and social skills rather than scientific or technical subjects. By 1925, Diana had reached the age for social debut. The family organized her presentation at court and introduction to London society through a series of carefully planned events. Diana possessed the physical attractiveness, social connections, and cultural refinement necessary for success in elite circles. However, she also displayed an introspective temperament and intellectual seriousness that set her apart from many of her contemporaries. Her debut season introduced her to eligible young men from appropriate families, but Diana showed little enthusiasm for the marriage market that dominated upper-class social life. She preferred substantive conversations about politics, literature, and social issues to the superficial interactions that characterized most social gatherings. This tendency concerned her parents, who recognized that marriage to an appropriate partner remained the expected path for women of their daughter's background. Diana's reluctance to embrace conventional expectations reflected broader changes in women's roles during the 1920s. She witnessed the expansion of educational and professional opportunities for women, observed the political activism of suffragettes and their successors, and absorbed her father's teachings about individual achievement and social contribution. These influences created internal conflict between family expectations and personal aspirations. The outbreak of World War II in 1939 provided Diana with the opportunity to pursue meaningful service outside traditional female roles. She volunteered for the Women's Royal Naval Service, WRNS, commonly known as the Wrens, demonstrating her commitment to national defense and personal independence. Her enlistment reflected both patriotic duty and desire to escape the constraints of civilian social life. Diana's WRNS service began with basic training at establishments designed to transform civilian volunteers into naval auxiliaries. She learned military protocol, communication procedures, and specialized skills required for naval operations. Her education, social background, and demonstrated competence led to rapid promotion through junior ranks and assignment to increasingly responsible positions. Her wartime assignments included intelligence analysis, communications, coordination, and administrative duties at naval installations across Britain. Diana handled classified information, coordinated with senior officers, and supervised other WRNS personnel. These responsibilities provided her with direct involvement in military operations and personal satisfaction from contributing to the war effort. The WRNS experience also exposed Diana to women from diverse social and educational backgrounds, broadening her understanding of British society and strengthening her commitment to social reform. She formed friendships across class boundaries and developed leadership skills that would serve her in later civilian roles. However, the stress of wartime service, combined with family pressures and personal anxieties, began to affect her mental health. Diana's first marriage occurred in 1932 to John Milner Bailey, a relationship that reflected both genuine affection and family pressure to settle into conventional domestic life. Bailey came from an appropriate social background and possessed sufficient financial resources to support upper-class lifestyle expectations. The wedding received extensive press coverage due to Diana's connection to Winston Churchill, who was then serving his wilderness years in opposition. The Bailey marriage produced 2 children but struggled under the pressures of financial uncertainty, social expectations, and Diana's increasing anxiety about her role as political wife and mother. Bailey's business ventures encountered difficulties during the economic turbulence of the 1930s, creating household stress that exacerbated Diana's tendency toward depression and social withdrawal. The couple divorced in 1935, a decision that required considerable courage given contemporary social attitudes toward marital failure. Diana's willingness to end an unsatisfactory marriage demonstrated her determination to prioritize personal happiness over social convention, but also exposed her to criticism and gossip that intensified her anxiety about public attention. Her second marriage in 1935 to Duncan Sandys initially appeared more promising. Sandys pursued a political career as conservative MP and cabinet minister, creating a household atmosphere that resembled Diana's childhood experience at Chartwell. The marriage produced additional children and provided Diana with a role as political hostess and constituency wife that utilized her education and social skills. However, the Sandys marriage also encountered difficulties. Duncan's political ambitions required extensive travel and long absences, leaving Diana to manage household responsibilities and child-rearing largely alone. Her mental health problems intensified under these pressures, manifesting as depression, anxiety, and increasing reliance on alcohol as a coping mechanism. During the 1950s and 1960s, Diana's struggles with mental health became more severe and public. She experienced periods of depression that required hospitalization and psychiatric treatment, conditions that carried significant stigma and limited understanding during that era. Her family provided support while maintaining public silence about her difficulties, reflecting contemporary attitudes toward mental illness. Despite these challenges, Diana channeled her experiences into volunteer work with organizations supporting mental health awareness and suicide prevention. She served with the Samaritans, a telephone counseling service established to provide emotional support for individuals in crisis. Her personal understanding of depression and suicidal ideation enabled her to connect with callers facing similar struggles. This volunteer work provided Diana with purpose and meaning during her most difficult years. She completed training programs, staffed telephone lines, and participated in public education efforts to reduce stigma surrounding mental illness. Her willingness to engage with these issues reflected both personal healing and commitment to helping others facing similar challenges. Diana's advocacy work occurred during a period of evolving understanding about mental health treatment and social acceptance. Her involvement with the Samaritans contributed to broader efforts to destigmatize depression and provide accessible support services. However, her personal struggles continued despite her professional success in helping others. Diana Churchill died by suicide on October 20, 1963, at the age of 54. Her death occurred during a period of particular stress related to her marriage difficulties, financial concerns, and ongoing mental health challenges. The family handled the tragedy with characteristic privacy, revealing few details about circumstances while emphasizing her volunteer work and devotion to her children. Her funeral reflected her complex legacy as both Churchill daughter and independent individual. Political figures, family friends, and Samaritans colleagues attended services that acknowledged her public service while respecting family grief. The press coverage balanced respect for family privacy with recognition of her contribution to mental health awareness. Diana's legacy encompasses both personal tragedy and social contribution. Her volunteer work with the Samaritans helped establish suicide prevention as a legitimate area for public concern and charitable activity. Her willingness to address mental health issues despite personal cost demonstrated courage that advanced public understanding of these conditions. The impact of Diana's death on her family, particularly her father, remained largely private but undoubtedly profound. Winston Churchill faced his daughter's suicide during his final years, adding personal grief to the physical decline that preceded his own death in 1965. The family's handling of this tragedy exemplified their approach to public service, maintaining dignity under pressure while contributing to causes greater than personal comfort. Randolph Frederick Edward Spencer Churchill arrived on May 28, 1911, inheriting both his father's given name and the weight of political expectations that accompanied it. His birth occurred during Winston's tenure as Home Secretary, a period marked by labor unrest, constitutional crisis, and the political maneuvering that would soon propel Britain into World War. From his earliest years, Randolph absorbed the atmosphere of a household where political discussion dominated family conversation and public duty shaped personal decisions. As the only son among Winston and Clementine's children, Randolph carried unique pressure to continue the Churchill political legacy. His father's career provided both inspiration and intimidating precedent. Winston had already served in multiple cabinet positions, changed political parties twice, and established himself as a rising force in British politics. Randolph grew up understanding that his surname opened doors while simultaneously creating expectations for extraordinary achievement. His childhood unfolded against the backdrop of his father's wartime service and political resurrection. Randolph witnessed Winston's disgrace following the Dardanelles disaster, his determination to rebuild credibility through military service in France, and his gradual return to political prominence. These experiences taught Randolph that political careers involved risk, resilience, and the possibility of both spectacular failure and remarkable recovery. The family's financial circumstances during Randolph's youth fluctuated with Winston's political fortunes. Periods of prosperity alternated with years of uncertainty as his father pursued various income sources, journalism, book writing, lecture tours, to supplement parliamentary salary. Randolph learned that political careers required financial independence and that inherited privilege must be maintained through personal effort and achievement. Randolph's formal education followed the traditional path of British political elite: preparatory school, Eton College, and Oxford University. At Eton, he encountered the social networks, competitive atmosphere, and cultural assumptions that shaped upper-class male identity. His academic performance proved adequate rather than exceptional, but he demonstrated the debating skills, social confidence, and political awareness that would characterize his adult career. The Eton experience provided Randolph with lifelong friendships among future political leaders, military officers, and business executives. However, it also reinforced his sense of entitlement and competitive instincts that would sometimes damage his relationships with colleagues and constituents. His contemporaries recognized his intelligence and charisma while noting his tendency toward arrogance and impulsive behavior. At Oxford, Randolph studied modern history while participating extensively in university political organizations. He served as president of the Oxford Union, the prestigious debating society that had launched numerous political careers. His speeches demonstrated rhetorical skill inherited from his father, combined with contemporary knowledge and passionate conviction that impressed audiences and critics alike. However, Randolph's university years also revealed character traits that would limit his political effectiveness. He displayed impatience with detailed policy work, preference for dramatic gestures over sustained effort, and difficulty accepting criticism or compromise. These tendencies reflected both inherited temperament and the influence of growing up in a household where Winston's forceful personality dominated family dynamics. His Oxford education concluded in 1932 without completing his degree, a decision that reflected his eagerness to begin his political career and confidence that his family connections would compensate for academic credentials. This choice established a pattern of prioritizing immediate opportunities over long-term preparation that would characterize many of his subsequent decisions. Randolph's entry into politics occurred during the 1930s, when his father served in parliamentary opposition during the so-called wilderness years. He contested several parliamentary seats without success, developing a reputation as an effective speaker and promising candidate hampered by organizational weaknesses and occasional lapses in judgment. His campaigns attracted attention due to the Churchill name while revealing his difficulty building the local relationships essential for electoral success. The outbreak of World War II provided Randolph with opportunities for both military service and political advancement. He volunteered for military duty, eventually serving with distinction in North Africa and Yugoslavia as an intelligence officer and liaison with resistance forces. His wartime assignments combined his political knowledge with military responsibilities, allowing him to contribute meaningfully to the war effort while gaining experience that enhanced his political credentials. Randolph's military service included parachute operations behind enemy lines, coordination with Yugoslav partisans, and intelligence gathering that contributed to Allied operations in the Balkans. These assignments required courage, adaptability, and diplomatic skills that demonstrated his potential for significant achievement. His wartime performance earned respect from military colleagues who valued his competence over his political connections. However, his relationship with his father during the war years remained complex. Winston's position as prime minister created opportunities for Randolph's advancement while also subjecting his achievements to scrutiny about nepotism and favoritism. Their personal relationship combined genuine affection with competitive tension that reflected their similar temperaments and shared ambitions. In 1940, Randolph finally achieved election to Parliament as Conservative MP for Preston, beginning a parliamentary career that would span nearly 2 decades. His maiden speech received favorable attention, and he quickly established himself as an effective debater and loyal supporter of his father's wartime government. However, his parliamentary performance also revealed the impatience and argumentative nature that would limit his advancement to senior positions. Following Winston Churchill's death in 1965, Randolph undertook the monumental task of writing his father's official biography. This project represented both professional opportunity and filial duty, allowing him to combine his political knowledge with literary ambitions while ensuring authoritative treatment of the Churchill legacy. The Biography Commission provided financial security and historical importance that validated his career achievements. Randolph approached the biographical project with characteristic energy and thoroughness. He assembled a research team, interviewed surviving contemporaries, and gained access to private papers and official documents that provided unprecedented insight into his father's life and career. His political experience enabled him to understand the context and implications of the events he described. The first volume of the biography, covering Winston's early life through 1900, appeared in 1966 to favorable critical reception. Randolph's writing demonstrated narrative skill, analytical insight, and access to sources that produced authoritative treatment of his subject. The book's success established his reputation as a serious historian rather than merely a political heir trading on family connections. However, Randolph's declining health limited his ability to complete the massive project he had undertaken. He managed to finish only the first 2 volumes before his death, covering Winston's life through 1914. The remaining volumes required completion by other historians, notably Martin Gilbert, who continued the work according to Randolph's established framework and editorial standards. The biographical project consumed the final years of Randolph's life, providing him with purpose and achievement that compensated for his limited political advancement. His historical work demonstrated the intellectual capabilities and analytical skills that might have produced greater political success under different circumstances or with better personal discipline. Randolph's personal life reflected the same impulsive tendencies and passionate commitments that characterized his political career. His first marriage in 1939 to Pamela Digby created considerable social attention due to her beauty, intelligence, and social connections. The wartime wedding represented both genuine affection and the contemporary rush to marry before military deployment separated couples for unknown periods. The marriage produced Winston Spencer Churchill in 1940, ensuring continuation of the Churchill name and political legacy. However, the relationship struggled under the pressures of wartime separation, differing temperaments, and Randolph's demanding personality. Pamela's independent spirit and social ambitions conflicted with his expectations for political wife behavior, creating tensions that intensified during his military absences. The couple divorced in 1946, with Pamela retaining custody of their son while Randolph maintained regular contact and influence over the boy's education and development. The divorce reflected changing social attitudes toward marital failure while creating personal pain and public embarrassment that affected Randolph's political standing. His second marriage in 1948 to June Osborne brought greater personal stability and happiness. June understood political life requirements and provided the emotional support that enabled Randolph's later achievements as biographer and political commentator. Their marriage produced daughter Arabella and created a household atmosphere that supported his literary work. However, Randolph's health problems, particularly his struggles with alcohol and the physical demands of his wartime service, created ongoing challenges for family life. His intense personality and work habits required considerable patience and understanding from family members who learned to accommodate his needs while maintaining their own interests and relationships. Randolph's final years were marked by declining health related to his wartime service, lifestyle choices, and inherited medical conditions. He suffered from various ailments, including heart problems, respiratory difficulties, and the effects of heavy drinking that had characterized much of his adult life. These health issues limited his political activities while intensifying his focus on historical writing. Despite medical problems, Randolph maintained his intellectual vigor and professional commitments. He continued working on his father's biography, participated in political commentary, and remained active in Conservative Party activities. His determination to complete meaningful work despite physical limitations demonstrated the Churchill family commitment to duty and achievement. His relationship with his son Winston during these years provided particular satisfaction. The younger Winston showed political aptitude and ambition that suggested successful continuation of the family tradition. Randolph took pride in his son's educational achievements and early political activities while providing guidance based on his own experiences and mistakes. Randolph Churchill died on June 6, 1968, at the age of 57. His death occurred during a period of political change that was transforming the Conservative Party and British society. The funeral reflected his complex legacy as both political figure and historical biographer, with tributes acknowledging his contributions while recognizing his unrealized potential. Randolph's legacy encompasses both personal achievement and family continuity. His biographical work established scholarly standards for political biography while preserving authoritative accounts of crucial historical events. His political career, though limited in advancement, demonstrated the possibility of independent achievement despite famous parentage. His son, Winston Spencer Churchill, inherited both political ambitions and the skills necessary for contemporary political success. The younger Winston's career as Conservative MP and cabinet minister validated Randolph's hopes for family legacy while demonstrating evolution in political style and effectiveness. The continuation of Churchill political involvement through subsequent generations reflects Randolph's successful transmission of family values and commitments. The historical assessment of Randolph's life acknowledges both his limitations and achievements. His political career suffered from personal traits that prevented full realization of his talents, but his biographical work contributed significantly to historical understanding and literary achievement. His willingness to serve during wartime demonstrated courage and patriotism that honored family traditions. Sarah Millicent. Hermione Spencer Churchill was born on October 7, 1914, as German armies swept across Belgium, and her father wrestled with naval strategy as First Lord of the Admiralty. Her arrival coincided with the opening months of a war that would reshape European civilization and establish the context for her entire generation's experience. Unlike her siblings, Sarah would grow up during wartime, absorbing lessons about resilience, sacrifice, and the unpredictability of human fortune. From her earliest years, Sarah displayed artistic inclinations that set her apart from conventional expectations for Churchill daughters. While Diana struggled with social pressures and intellectual pursuits, Sarah gravitated toward creative expression through dance, theater, and music. Her parents recognized these talents while hoping to channel them toward appropriate social accomplishments rather than professional career ambitions. Sarah's artistic education began with dance lessons at elite London studios where upper-class children learned ballet, ballroom dancing, and deportment. Her natural grace and rhythmic ability quickly distinguished her from classmates who pursued dance as social accomplishment rather than artistic passion. Teachers recognized her potential for professional development, creating tension with family expectations about appropriate career paths. The Churchill household during Sarah's childhood combined political intensity with cultural sophistication. Winston maintained friendships with writers, artists, and actors who visited Chartwell and exposed the children to creative personalities and artistic perspectives. Sarah absorbed these influences while observing her father's own artistic pursuits through painting and writing, learning that creative expression could coexist with public responsibility. Her formal education included traditional academic subjects alongside artistic training. Sarah attended day schools that emphasized languages, literature, and cultural refinement while pursuing advanced dance instruction and theatrical training. Her academic performance proved adequate, but her real enthusiasm focused on performance opportunities and artistic challenges that tested her creative abilities. The outbreak of World War II in 1939 interrupted Sarah's artistic pursuits and provided her with opportunities for meaningful wartime service. She volunteered for the Women's Auxiliary Air Force, WAAF, demonstrating the Churchill family commitment to national defense while pursuing independence from parental supervision. Her enlistment reflected both patriotic duty and desire to contribute skills beyond traditional female support roles. Sarah's WAF training revealed her analytical abilities and attention to detail that qualified her for specialized intelligence work. She received assignment to RAF Medmenham, the photo interpretation unit responsible for analyzing aerial reconnaissance photographs that provided crucial intelligence for Allied operations. This assignment placed her at the center of strategic planning while utilizing skills that combined artistic observation with military analysis. Her work at Medmenham involved examining thousands of aerial photographs to identify enemy installations, troop movements, and strategic targets. Sarah's artistic training enhanced her ability to detect camouflage positions, interpret visual evidence, and recognize patterns that escaped less observant analysts. Her contributions directly supported bomber command targeting and invasion planning that shaped major military operations. The Photo Intelligence Service attracted personnel with diverse backgrounds who shared analytical capabilities and commitment to detailed work. Sarah formed friendships with academics, artists, and technical specialists who expanded her intellectual horizons while working toward common military objectives. These relationships provided personal satisfaction and professional development that influenced her post-war career choices. Her service record at Medmenham earned recognition from superior officers who valued her technical competence and reliable performance under pressure. Sarah's intelligence work contributed to successful operations, including the D-Day landings, where accurate target identification proved essential for mission success. Her wartime service demonstrated capabilities that extended far beyond artistic accomplishment or social connections. Following wartime service, Sarah pursued the artistic career that family obligations had previously prevented. She trained seriously for stage performance, studying dramatic technique, voice projection, and movement skills necessary for professional theater. Her decision to become a professional actress required considerable determination given contemporary attitudes toward upper-class women in entertainment careers. Sarah's early stage appearances occurred in London theaters that provided experience with diverse roles and dramatic styles. She performed in both classical productions and contemporary plays, developing versatility that enhanced her professional marketability. Critics recognized her natural talent while noting the additional challenges she faced due to her famous surname and social background. Her breakthrough role came in 1951 when she appeared in the London production of The Philadelphia Story, demonstrating her ability to handle sophisticated comedy and romantic drama. The performance established her reputation as a serious actress rather than merely a society figure pursuing amateur theatricals. Professional recognition validated her decision to prioritize artistic achievement over conventional social expectations. Hollywood opportunities emerged during the 1950s as American studios sought British talent for international productions. Sarah appeared in several films, including Royal Wedding, 1951, opposite Fred Astaire, showcasing her dancing abilities alongside dramatic skills. These roles provided financial independence and artistic satisfaction while exposing her to American entertainment industry practices and celebrity culture. However, Sarah's film career remained limited compared to her theatrical work. She preferred stage performance for its artistic challenges and immediate audience connection, viewing cinema as occasional opportunity rather than primary career focus. Her selectivity about roles reflected artistic integrity that prioritized quality over commercial success or maximum exposure. Sarah's personal life attracted considerable public attention due to her celebrity status and family connections. Her first marriage in 1936 to Vic Oliver, an Austrian-born entertainer, created family controversy and media sensation. The relationship crossed social boundaries while challenging contemporary assumptions about appropriate partnerships for women of Sarah's background. The Oliver marriage provided Sarah with insight into professional entertainment while creating tensions with family expectations and social conventions. Vic's background as a music hall performer conflicted with Churchill family traditions of political and military service. However, the relationship also demonstrated Sarah's independence and willingness to prioritize personal happiness over social approval. The couple's wartime separation due to military service strained their marriage, leading to divorce in 1945. Sarah's wartime intelligence work had provided her with professional identity and personal confidence that reduced her dependence on marriage for social definition. The divorce reflected her evolution toward greater independence and self-determination. Her second marriage in 1949 to Anthony Beauchamp, a society photographer, created a partnership that combined artistic interests with social compatibility. Beauchamp understood entertainment industry demands while providing emotional support for Sarah's career ambitions. Their marriage produced a daughter and created household stability that supported her professional activities. However, this marriage also ended in divorce, reflecting Sarah's difficulty balancing career demands with domestic responsibilities. Her commitment to artistic excellence required extensive travel and irregular schedules that challenged traditional marriage expectations. These experiences demonstrated the ongoing tension between professional achievement and conventional female roles during the post-war period. During the 1960s and 1970s, Sarah focused increasingly on writing projects that combined her family heritage with personal experiences. She authored several books, including memoirs that provided insider perspectives on the Churchill family, while addressing broader themes about women's roles, artistic careers, and social change during the 20th century. Her memoir, A Thread in the Tapestry, in 1967, offered intimate portraits of family life at Chartwell while describing her own journey toward artistic achievement and personal independence. The book balanced respect for family privacy with honest discussion of challenges faced by children of famous parents. Critics praised her literary skill and psychological insight, while readers appreciated her candid treatment of complex family dynamics. Sarah's later theatrical work included both performance and production activities. She developed one-woman shows that showcased her range as performer while providing creative control over artistic content. These productions allowed her to combine acting, dancing, and storytelling in formats that utilized her diverse talents and life experiences. Her involvement in charitable activities reflected the Churchill family tradition of public service adapted to her particular interests and capabilities. Sarah supported organizations promoting arts education, veterans assistance, and cultural preservation. These commitments provided personal satisfaction while maintaining connection to family values of social responsibility. During her final years, Sarah struggled with alcoholism and health problems that limited her professional activities. However, she maintained her artistic interests and family relationships while dealing with these challenges. Her determination to continue creative work despite personal difficulties demonstrated the resilience and commitment to achievement that characterized the Churchill children. Sarah Churchill died on September 24, 1982, at the age of 67. Her death marked the end of a career that successfully combined artistic achievement with wartime service and family loyalty. Obituaries acknowledged her contributions to theater, intelligence work, and cultural life, while recognizing the challenges she faced as a woman pursuing independent achievement during a period of social transition. Her artistic legacy encompasses both stage performances and literary works that demonstrated versatility and professional competence. Sarah's career validated the possibility of successful artistic achievement by women from privileged backgrounds who chose to pursue professional rather than purely social roles. Her example influenced subsequent generations of women seeking careers in entertainment and creative fields. Her wartime service at RAF Medmenham contributed to Allied victory while demonstrating women's capabilities in technical and analytical roles previously reserved for men. Sarah's intelligence work helped establish precedents for expanded female participation in military and security activities. Her service record honored family traditions of military contribution while breaking new ground for women's professional involvement. The combination of artistic achievement and military service created a unique legacy that reflected both personal talents and family values. Sarah's life demonstrated the possibility of honoring inherited obligations while pursuing individual fulfillment through creative expression and professional accomplishment. Her example provided inspiration for women seeking to balance family expectations with personal ambitions during periods of social change. Frances Marigold Spencer Churchill was born on November 15, 1918, as the guns fell silent across Europe and Britain celebrated the armistice that ended the Great War. Her arrival marked a moment of hope and renewal for the Churchill family, coming after 4 years of conflict that had tested their resilience and reshaped their understanding of public service and private sacrifice. Marigold's birth represented both personal joy and symbolic promise for a family that had weathered political disgrace and military danger. Winston and Clementine welcomed their fourth child during a period of political rehabilitation and financial stability. Winston had successfully rebuilt his career following the Dardanelles disaster through military service in France and effective performance as Minister of Munitions. The family's circumstances allowed them to provide Marigold with the security and attention that had sometimes been lacking during her siblings' early years due to wartime pressures and political uncertainty. Marigold's earliest months unfolded in a household gradually adjusting to peacetime routines and renewed domestic tranquility. Her parents had learned from experience with Diana, Randolph, and Sarah about the challenges of raising children while maintaining political careers. They hoped to provide Marigold with greater stability and consistent parental presence than circumstances had permitted for her older siblings. The little girl displayed the bright intelligence and engaging personality that characterized the Churchill children. Family photographs from this period show a beautiful, alert child who charmed visitors and delighted her parents. Winston, in particular, formed a deep attachment to Marigold, perhaps because his political rehabilitation allowed him more time for domestic life than had been possible during his previous children's infancies. Clementine managed the household with her characteristic efficiency while enjoying the relative calm that peacetime provided. She could focus on child-rearing and domestic concerns without the constant anxiety about Winston's safety and career that had dominated the war years. Marigold benefited from this maternal attention and household stability during her brief life. In August 1921, the family departed for a holiday in Broadstairs, a seaside resort in Kent where they had rented accommodations for rest and recreation away from London's political pressures. The vacation represented a celebration of Winston's appointment as colonial secretary and the family's restored prosperity. Marigold, now 2 years old, accompanied her parents and siblings for what should have been a pleasant interlude of family togetherness. During the holiday, Marigold developed symptoms of what initially appeared to be a minor childhood illness. Contemporary medical understanding of infectious diseases remained limited, and many conditions that would later become preventable or treatable through antibiotics and vaccines posed serious threats to young children. The family initially treated her symptoms as temporary discomfort that would resolve with rest and proper care. However, Marigold's condition rapidly deteriorated. She developed septicemia, a systemic infection that overwhelmed her young immune system before effective treatment could be administered. The family summoned medical assistance, but 1921's therapeutic options proved inadequate against the aggressive bacterial infection that claimed many children's lives during that era. Marigold Frances Spencer Churchill died on August 23, 1921, at the age of 2 years and 9 months. Her death devastated the family and marked a turning point in their emotional life that would influence all subsequent relationships and decisions. The loss of their youngest child created grief that neither Winston nor Clementine ever fully overcame. The immediate aftermath of Marigold's death revealed the depth of parental attachment and the vulnerability that even powerful public figures experienced when confronting personal tragedy. Winston's grief was particularly profound, perhaps because his political recovery had allowed him to develop a closer relationship with Marigold than had been possible with his older children during their early years. The family's response to Marigold's death reflected both their private anguish and their public roles during a period when emotional expression remained constrained by social conventions. Winston and Clementine struggled to maintain their official duties while processing overwhelming grief that challenged their understanding of divine justice and human purpose. Their loss occurred during the era before widespread psychological support for bereaved parents. Winston's letters from this period reveal the depth of his sorrow and his difficulty reconciling personal faith with the apparent randomness of childhood death. His writing during the months following Marigold's death shows a man questioning previously held beliefs while struggling to maintain hope and meaning in the face of incomprehensible loss. The experience influenced his later philosophical reflections and religious attitudes. Clementine's grief manifested differently but no less intensely. She blamed herself for decisions made during Marigold's final illness and struggled with depression that affected her ability to care for her surviving children. The loss challenged her faith in her maternal capabilities and created anxiety about the safety of Diana, Randolph, and Sarah that would persist throughout their lives. Marigold was initially buried in Kensal Green Cemetery in London, where her grave became a focus for family mourning and remembrance. However, in 1947, Winston and Clementine decided to move her remains to St. Martin's Church in Blaydon, Oxfordshire, near Blenheim Palace, where Winston had been born. This reinterment reflected their desire to establish a family burial ground that would unite their children in death as they had been united in life. The decision to reinter Marigold at Blaydon established a precedent that would eventually include Winston himself, creating a family shrine that symbolized continuity across generations. The churchyard setting provided peaceful surroundings appropriate for contemplation and remembrance while maintaining connection to the Churchill family's historical roots in Oxfordshire. Despite her brief life, Marigold's place in Churchill family history extends beyond the tragedy of her early death. Her memory influenced family dynamics, parental attitudes, and personal relationships in ways that shaped the surviving children's experiences and the family's approach to public service and private relationships. Winston's attachment to Marigold and grief at her loss affected his relationships with his surviving children, particularly Mary, who was born the year after Marigold's death. Mary later described feeling the weight of parental expectations intensified by their loss of Marigold, creating pressure to compensate for the absent sister while developing her own identity and interests. The family's experience of sudden, devastating loss also influenced their appreciation for life's fragility and the importance of cherishing relationships while they existed. This awareness contributed to their close family bonds and their commitment to supporting each other through subsequent challenges and tragedies. Marigold's grave at Blaydon became a gathering point for family remembrance and a symbol of continuity that transcended individual lives. Visitors to the churchyard find her small headstone near the larger monuments to Winston and Clementine, creating a visual representation of family unity that includes both achieved greatness and unfulfilled promise. The inclusion of Marigold's story and accounts of the Churchill family ensures that her brief life receives recognition and remembrance despite the absence of personal achievements or public contributions. Her significance lies in her impact on family dynamics and her symbolic representation of the vulnerability that accompanied even privileged lives during an era of limited medical capabilities and uncertain childhood survival. Mary Spencer Churchill was born on September 15, 1922, into a family still grieving the loss of Marigold, while cautiously embracing hope for renewal and continuity. Her arrival provided Winston and Clementine with another opportunity for parenthood while carrying the additional weight of expectations intensified by their recent loss. Mary's early years unfolded against the backdrop of Winston's career as colonial secretary and the family's establishment at Chartwell as their permanent home. As the youngest surviving child, Mary occupied a unique position within the family hierarchy. Her birth occurred after her parents had gained extensive experience with child rearing and established household routines that provided greater stability than her older siblings had enjoyed. However, she also inherited the emotional intensity that Marigold's death had created in family relationships and parental attitudes toward childhood safety and development. Mary's early education combined traditional elements with innovative approaches that reflected contemporary educational reform movements. Her parents employed tutors and governesses who emphasized academic achievement alongside character development, foreign language acquisition, and cultural appreciation. Mary demonstrated aptitude for languages, literature, and history while displaying the intellectual curiosity that characterized the Churchill children. The Chartwell setting provided Mary with an idyllic childhood environment that combined rural beauty with intellectual stimulation. She grew up among her father's books, paintings, and manuscripts while enjoying extensive grounds that offered opportunities for outdoor activities and animal care. The estate's gardens, swimming pool, and various construction projects provided endless entertainment while teaching lessons about planning, persistence, and achievement. Her formal schooling occurred at prestigious institutions that prepared upper-class girls for social leadership and cultural contribution. Mary attended Queensgate School in London, where she received instruction in academic subjects alongside training in social graces, artistic appreciation, and leadership skills. Her teachers recognized her intelligence and diligence while noting her serious temperament and strong sense of responsibility. The outbreak of World War II in 1939 found Mary approaching her 17th birthday and eager to contribute to the national defense effort that engaged her entire family. She volunteered for the Auxiliary Territorial Service, ATS, the women's branch of the British Army, demonstrating the Churchill family commitment to military service while pursuing independence and meaningful contribution to the war effort. Mary's ATS training began with basic military instruction that transformed civilian volunteers into disciplined soldiers capable of supporting Army operations. She learned military protocol, weapons handling, communication procedures, and the specialized skills required for her assignment to anti-aircraft batteries defending London and other strategic targets from German bombing attacks. Her service with mixed anti-aircraft batteries placed her at the center of the Battle of Britain and the Blitz that tested British resolve during 1940 and 1941. Mary operated sophisticated radar and targeting equipment that guided defensive fire against enemy aircraft, requiring technical competence, steady nerves, and ability to function effectively under extreme pressure during night attacks on civilian targets. The anti-aircraft service provided Mary with direct involvement in combat operations while demonstrating women's capabilities in technical and military roles previously reserved for men. Her battery defended crucial installations including the Houses of Parliament, government offices, and military facilities that sustained British resistance during the war's most dangerous period. Mary's military service earned recognition from superior officers who valued her technical competence, leadership abilities, and reliable performance under combat conditions. She received promotion through junior ranks and assignment to increasingly responsible positions that utilized her intelligence and demonstrated commitment to military effectiveness rather than merely symbolic participation in the war effort. In 1947, Mary married Christopher Soames, a Guards officer and aspiring politician who possessed the social background, intellectual capabilities, and political ambitions that made him an appropriate partner for a Churchill daughter. Their wedding represented both personal happiness and strategic alliance that strengthened Conservative Party connections while providing Mary with companionship and support for her future public roles. Christopher Soames brought military experience, political acumen, and diplomatic skills that complemented Mary's family heritage and personal capabilities. His service as a Guards officer during World War II demonstrated courage and leadership abilities, while his political interests aligned with Churchill family traditions of public service and Conservative Party loyalty. The marriage produced 5 children who continued the Churchill family line while establishing their own identities and careers. Mary's success as wife and mother provided personal satisfaction while maintaining connection to traditional female roles that balanced her public activities and family obligations. Her children grew up understanding their heritage while pursuing diverse interests and achievements. Christopher's political career flourished with appointments to increasingly senior positions, including parliamentary private secretary to Winston Churchill, cabinet minister, and eventually ambassador to France. These roles required Mary's active participation as political hostess, constituency wife, and diplomatic spouse, responsibilities that utilized her education, social skills, and family experience. The Soames marriage created a partnership that successfully combined public service with private happiness over nearly 50 years. Their relationship demonstrated the possibility of maintaining traditional family structures while adapting to contemporary expectations for women's expanded roles in public life and professional activities. Mary's role as mother of 5 children provided her with personal fulfillment while contributing to Churchill family continuity. She approached child-rearing with the same diligence and commitment that characterized her other activities, creating a household atmosphere that emphasized education, achievement, and social responsibility while allowing for individual development and diverse interests. Her children inherited both Churchill heritage and Soames family traditions, creating opportunities and expectations that shaped their educational choices and career decisions. Mary worked to ensure that family prominence enhanced rather than constrained their personal development, providing guidance while encouraging independence and individual achievement. The family established residence at Hamswell House in Somerset, where they created a country estate that served multiple functions as private home, political headquarters, and social center. Mary managed household operations while supporting Christopher's political career and maintaining her own public activities and personal interests. Her approach to parenting reflected lessons learned from her own childhood experience at Chartwell, combined with contemporary understanding of child development and educational psychology. Mary sought to provide her children with stability, security, and consistent parental attention while exposing them to the intellectual stimulation and cultural opportunities that wealth and social position provided. The success of her children's subsequent careers validated Mary's parenting philosophy and demonstrated the possibility of successfully transmitting family values while encouraging individual achievement. Her offspring pursued diverse careers in politics, business, and public service, while maintaining family loyalty and continuing traditions of social contribution. During the 1960s and 1970s, Mary began developing her skills as writer and biographer, initially focusing on family history and personal memoirs that utilized her unique perspective on major historical events and political personalities. Her literary work combined scholarly research with intimate knowledge that produced authoritative accounts of Churchill family life and contemporary political history. Her biography of Clementine Churchill, published in 1979, received critical acclaim for its balanced treatment of a complex personality who had devoted her life to supporting Winston's career while maintaining her own identity and interests. Mary's intimate knowledge of her mother combined with objective historical research to produce a definitive account that enhanced understanding of women's roles in political families. Mary's subsequent writing projects included editing her father's correspondence and contributing to various historical publications that preserved family documents while advancing scholarly understanding of 20th century British politics. Her editorial work ensured accurate presentation of Churchill materials while maintaining family control over sensitive personal information. Her public duties expanded during this period to include charitable activities, ceremonial functions, and political support for conservative candidates and causes. Mary served on boards of cultural institutions, supported veterans organizations, and participated in commemorative events that honored her father's legacy while advancing contemporary political objectives. These activities provided Mary with independent identity and achievement while fulfilling family obligations for public service and political engagement. Her success in multiple roles demonstrated the possibility of combining traditional female responsibilities with expanded opportunities for public contribution and professional achievement. Mary Soames enjoyed exceptional longevity that allowed her to witness dramatic changes in British society, politics, and culture while maintaining active involvement in public life well into her 90s. Her extended lifespan provided her with unique perspective on historical developments spanning from the Edwardian era through the early 21st century. During her later years, Mary served as the primary custodian of Churchill family legacy and historical memory. She participated in documentaries, interviews, and commemorative events that preserved her father's reputation while providing authoritative accounts of family history and political developments. Her role as family spokesperson required balancing historical accuracy with protective discretion about private matters. Her public appearances during this period demonstrated remarkable vitality and intellectual acuity that impressed audiences while honoring family traditions of public service. Mary's speeches and interviews provided valuable historical testimony while maintaining dignity and grace that reflected her upbringing and personal character. Christopher Soames predeceased Mary in 1987, ending a marriage that had provided mutual support and shared achievement over 4 decades. Mary's widowhood required adjustment to solitary life while maintaining her public responsibilities and family relationships. Her resilience during this period demonstrated the strength and independence that had characterized her entire adult life. Dame Mary Soames died on May 31, 2014, at the age of 91, as the last surviving child of Winston and Clementine Churchill. Her death marked the end of an era and the conclusion of direct family connection to the Churchill legacy that had shaped British political life for over a century. Mary's death concluded 67 years of marriage, motherhood, and public service that successfully balanced personal happiness with family obligations and individual achievement. Her legacy encompasses multiple roles as military veteran, political wife, accomplished author, and devoted family custodian who preserved Churchill heritage while adapting to contemporary expectations and opportunities. Her success as writer and biographer established Mary as a significant historical figure in her own right, rather than merely a famous daughter trading on inherited reputation. Her books contributed meaningfully to historical understanding while demonstrating literary skill and scholarly competence that earned independent recognition and critical respect. Her role as family custodian ensured accurate preservation of Churchill legacy while maintaining appropriate privacy about personal matters that deserve protection from public scrutiny. Mary's careful balance between historical transparency and family discretion established standards for handling famous family legacies that influenced similar situations involving other prominent political dynasties. The longevity that allowed Mary to witness her father's historical reputation evolve from controversial politician to revered statesman provided her with unique insight into the processes of historical assessment and cultural memory. Her observations about these developments contributed to scholarly understanding of reputation formation and historical legacy preservation. Mary's successful combination of traditional female roles with expanded public opportunities demonstrated possibilities for women of her generation while establishing precedents that influenced subsequent generations of political families. Her example showed how inherited privilege could be transformed into meaningful contribution and personal achievement that honored family heritage while creating independent legacy. The Churchill family line continues through the descendants of Winston and Clementine's surviving children, carrying forward the genetic heritage, cultural values, and public expectations that have defined the family for over a century. These modern Churchills navigate contemporary challenges while maintaining connection to historical legacy and family traditions that remain relevant in 21st century Britain. Winston Spencer Churchill, Randolph's son, achieved the political success that eluded his father through careful preparation, diplomatic temperament, and adaptation to changing electoral requirements. His career as Conservative MP for Stretford and later Manchester included ministerial appointments and recognition as an effective parliamentarian who honored family traditions while establishing independent political identity. The younger Winston's success validated Randolph's hopes for family political continuity while demonstrating evolution in political style and effectiveness. His approach emphasized constituency service, collaborative leadership, and policy expertise rather than the rhetorical drama and confrontational tactics that had characterized earlier Churchill political careers. This adaptation reflected both personal temperament and changing requirements for political success in post-war Britain. Arabella Churchill, Randolph's daughter, pursued careers in arts administration and festival organization that combined family appreciation for culture with contemporary entrepreneurship. Her work developing music festivals and cultural events demonstrated creative innovation while maintaining family values of public service and cultural contribution. Her achievements reflected women's expanded opportunities while honoring Churchill traditions of social contribution. The Soames children, Nicholas, Jeremy, Charlotte, Emma, and Rupert, established diverse careers in politics, business, and public service that demonstrated successful adaptation of family heritage to contemporary opportunities. Nicholas Soames served as Conservative MP and cabinet minister, continuing direct family involvement in British politics while developing expertise in defense and agricultural policy. The current generation of Churchill descendants maintains significant involvement in British political life through both elected office and public service appointments. Their participation reflects ongoing family commitment to public duty while adapting traditional conservative politics to contemporary challenges, including European integration, economic globalization, and social change. Nicholas Soames's parliamentary career spanned over 25 years and included ministerial appointments that utilized his expertise in defense policy and rural affairs. His political style emphasized practical problem-solving and bipartisan cooperation rather than ideological confrontation, reflecting both personal temperament and contemporary political requirements. His effectiveness earned respect across party lines while maintaining Conservative Party loyalty. The family's political involvement extends beyond elected office to include appointments to public bodies, charitable organizations, and cultural institutions that influence policy development and social direction. These positions provide opportunities for public contribution while avoiding the electoral pressures and media scrutiny that accompany elective office. Contemporary Churchill political involvement reflects adaptation to changed circumstances, including reduced deference toward hereditary privilege, increased media scrutiny of public figures, and transformed Conservative Party ideology. Family members must demonstrate personal competence and independent achievement rather than relying solely on inherited reputation and social connections. The persistence of Churchill political involvement demonstrates the durability of family commitment to public service while illustrating successful adaptation to democratic evolution and social change. Their continued prominence reflects both inherited advantages and personal abilities that enable meaningful contribution to contemporary political life. Chartwell Estate serves as both family shrine and national monument that preserves the physical environment where the Churchill children grew up while providing public access to their family heritage and historical legacy. The National Trust's management of the property balances preservation requirements with educational objectives that enhance public understanding of Churchill family life and 20th century British history. The house and grounds maintain their original character while accommodating modern visitors who seek insight into the domestic life that shaped one of Britain's most significant political families. Rooms preserve their wartime configuration when Winston directed global strategy from his study, while family life continued around him, demonstrating the integration of public and private responsibilities that characterized the Churchill household. The gardens reflect Winston's personal involvement in landscape design and horticultural experimentation that provided relaxation from political pressures while expressing his appreciation for natural beauty and creative achievement. Visitors observe the same views and pathways that the Churchill children enjoyed while learning about their father's artistic pursuits and domestic interests. The estate's preservation ensures that future generations can experience the physical environment that shaped the Churchill children's understanding of privilege, responsibility, and public service. Their childhood home provides tangible connection to historical events and personalities that influenced British and world history during the 20th century. Chartwell's transformation from private residence to public monument reflects broader changes in British society, including democratization of access to historical sites, reduced privacy for prominent families, and increased public interest in the personal lives of political leaders. The estate's management demonstrates successful adaptation to these changes while preserving historical authenticity and educational value. St. Martin's Church in Blaydon, Oxfordshire, serves as the final resting place for Winston and Clementine Churchill alongside Marigold, creating a family burial ground that symbolizes unity across generations and continuity of family bonds beyond individual lives. The churchyard setting provides peaceful surroundings appropriate for contemplation while maintaining connection to the Oxfordshire countryside where the Churchill story began at nearby Blenheim Palace. The graves attract visitors from around the world who seek to pay respects to one of Britain's greatest political leaders while observing the family relationships that sustained his public career. The modest headstones reflect family preference for dignity over ostentation while ensuring permanent preservation of their memory and historical legacy. Diana's burial at Kensal Green Cemetery separates her from other family members, reflecting circumstances of her death and family decisions made during a period of grief and confusion. However, her memory remains integrated into family history through shared recollection and historical documentation that preserves her contribution to wartime service and social welfare. Sarah's interment at the Kensal Green Cemetery alongside Diana reflects family decisions that maintained their burial together while accepting separation from the main family plot at Blaydon. The arrangement demonstrates both practical considerations and family dynamics that influence final resting place decisions during different historical periods. The Blaydon burial ground provides symbolic completion of family unity while offering visitors opportunity for reflection about individual achievement within family context. The peaceful setting encourages contemplation about legacy, service, and the relationships that sustain public figures through their challenging careers and personal struggles. The Churchill children's collective story illustrates both the advantages and burdens that accompany prominent family heritage in democratic societies. Their experiences demonstrate how inherited privilege creates opportunities while imposing expectations that can either enhance or constrain individual development depending on personal temperament and historical circumstances. Diana's struggles with mental health and eventual suicide reveal the psychological pressures that can accompany public attention and family expectations during periods of social transition. Her volunteer work with the Samaritans demonstrates how personal suffering can be transformed into social contribution that helps others facing similar challenges. Randolph's political career illustrates the difficulties of following an extraordinary parent while pursuing independent achievement. His biographical work established a scholarly reputation while preserving authoritative accounts of historical events that might otherwise have been lost or misinterpreted. His legacy encompasses both political limitations and literary accomplishments. Sarah's artistic career demonstrates successful pursuit of independent achievement despite family pressure toward conventional roles. Her wartime intelligence work contributed significantly to Allied victory, while her stage performances provided cultural enrichment and personal fulfillment. Her example influenced expanded opportunities for women in both military and artistic careers. Marigold's brief life serves as a reminder of mortality's universality and the vulnerability that accompanies even privileged circumstances. Her death's impact on family dynamics illustrates how loss can strengthen bonds while creating emotional intensity that influences subsequent relationships and decisions. Mary's long life and successful adaptation to multiple roles demonstrates positive possibilities for inherited privilege when combined with personal capability and social opportunity. Her achievements as military veteran, political wife, accomplished author, and family custodian provide examples of meaningful contribution across traditional and contemporary female roles. The Churchill children's diverse outcomes reflect both individual differences and historical circumstances that shape their opportunities and challenges. Their collective experience demonstrates that family heritage creates foundation rather than destiny, with personal choices and external circumstances determining ultimate achievement and satisfaction. Their stories contribute to understanding about political families, social expectations, and individual development during periods of rapid historical change. The Churchill children navigated transformation from Edwardian social hierarchy through democratic evolution and contemporary equality movements while maintaining family values and public service commitments. The enduring interest in their lives reflects both fascination with famous families and appreciation for individual courage in facing public scrutiny, personal challenges, and historical pressures. Their legacy encompasses both specific achievements and broader lessons about privilege, responsibility, and human resilience that remain relevant for contemporary audiences seeking guidance about family relationships, public service, and personal fulfillment.